Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan read-through podcast. My name is Peter Bond, and I've read each book in the main series. However, my two co-hosts are reading the series for the first time. With me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
Hello there.
And Academy Award nominee, Joshua Dean Baker.
Now, I don't have anything good. I didn't read anything about the Academy.
That was a good one.
The nominations are coming out in like 2 weeks, so I figured we'd get it in early, project it forward, the secret.
I like it. And what am I up for? Best supporting actor?
Oh,
Best
wow.
animated flick. Best animated flick.
Best animated movie, Josh Baker.
Yeah, I like that.
How are you feeling, Inge, after the pneumonia? Did you recover?
Well, I'm on 2 antibiotics, 1 steroid, 2 inhalers, but all is well.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of drugs, Inge.
A lot of drugs all the time.
So is it just like a bad cold? Like, I've never really had pneumonia.
Well, it starts as the flu, which actually
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
damages your lungs to the point where bacteria fills your chest, a nice green mucus, and then you develop pneumonia.
It sounds like a doctor politely explained this to you while you were in pain.
Well, actually, I was shirtless getting a chest x-ray.
Oh,
solid.
A perfect time for learning.
It was. It's how I prefer to learn.
Alrighty. Well, today on the podcast, we're finishing out Deadhouse Gates. So we're going to talk about chapters...
Finally!
I'm very excited to talk about the ending.
Oh, damn, India.
So we're going 19 to 20. Oh my god. All right, let's get started. Chapter 19. Coltane and the Chain of Dogs recover from the Battle of Vathar. However, they're still being pursued by Corblow Dom. Sappers are adopted into some of the Wiccans clan, and Captain Mincer is demoted with Bugle replacing him. At the council meeting, Coltane is unsure of his decisions. Diker and List leave the council and stumble on an ancient Jagged's tower, the home of List's guide across the river. In the distance, they see Shaikh Reborn's whirlwind. On the Ragstopper, Kalam uses a stone to contact Quickben. Quickben says the ship has slipped into a warren and there's magic afoot. They also briefly speak of the bridge burner's situation on Genabacchus. Afterwards, Kalam finds Salk Ilan, who says they will arrive in Malaz City. Winds have blown them off course. Mappo holds Akarium's body and faces what to do with it. He deliberates over whether to give his friend over to the Azath, weighing what Akarium has done to Mappo and to so many others. The Trell decides to defend his friend from Tremolor and the Nameless Ones. They continue on to see the Azath house, leery of Iskarl Pust and the Hounds of Shadow, as well as the Shapeshifters. The Bokeral Moby, once lost, now returns to Fiddler. The assault from the Shapeshifter grows, and Denrabi fall from the ocean. Apsalar tries to open the door, but cannot. Diker thinks of the Jagat and their ancient wars with the Talani Mass, contrasting the isolated, intelligent people with their dismissive view of the Talani Mass who sought war through their continents of ice. The Chain of Dogs then continues on, joined by more tribes as Corblow Dom's army is now nearly 5 times the size of Coltane's. They arrive in Sanamon, exhausted. Soldiers are thirsty and dying, and we see the dogs Bent and Roach. Diker speaks with the council, preparing for a battle the next day when a warren opens up. A great 6-wheeled carriage emerges with food, water, and many goods. They are the Trigel Trade Guild, a magical caravan from Genabacchus. Dujek One-Arm sent the carriage to Coltane with supplies from the citizens of Darudistan. They also receive a strange smoky glass bottle that Coltane is to wear. The Trade Guild will leave since they have a final errand to run. After, Coltane and Diker discuss Dujek's motivation and wonder if the Empress and the High Fist are still in coordination. In the morning, the Battle of Sanamon happens. Coltane gives Diker the gift from Quickben, and meet the Kundral, to whom Coltane declares the Wiccans as soldiers of the Malazan Empire. The Battle of Sanamon occurs north of the hill, and Corblo Dom is eventually driven off. For now. Alrighty, we're catching up with Coltane and the rest of the chain of dogs after the battle on the River Rathar, and we're seeing them reorganize. And then later in this chapter, they have the Battle of Sanamon. I'm not 100% on that name, and maybe we'll talk about both of those segments together, because at the first start of the chapter we see them, and then at the end of the chapter we kind of see them being chased, see them battle, and we also see Coltane meeting the Trigel Trade Guild along and receiving supplies from Genabacchus.
Yeah, what the hell?
Oh god, yeah, fuck that section. Oh, I have words.
All right, well, Inge, what'd you think about this is one of our last times checking in on Coltane before they get closer to the Aaron walls.
Yeah, Coltane became much more enjoyable as this whole grouping. As more people died, I began to like them more. So
yeah, I do. I just want to put out there will be a lot of Josh eats his own words this episode in regards to Coltane. I just can't wait.
Well, I like a good trigger warning.
So you were warming up to them in this time.
Yeah, I mean, every time we check in on them, the situation gets more in detail and more bleak, and it's sad. But when that person came out of wherever he came out of with all the the smoke and whatever, let's talk about that. That's what I'm interested in.
The Trigel Trade Guild.
First of all, not sure why I truly believed that was what was that guy from the last book, the big idiot that was actually a genius?
Kruppa.
So I thought it was him. I don't know why. I was like, maybe he's fooling around, because if anybody's
I would say that's real understandable.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh wait, guess not. But then why are these random people bringing them random supplies randomly when they need it most out of nowhere?
And they do the same thing later on with
Kalam, was it?
No, not Kalam. Fiddler
with the ones,
Fiddler's
yeah,
group.
Fiddler. Can I briefly talk about this?
All right.
I just have two
Josh,
sentences.
you can pop off if you want. Seems like you want to pop off.
I want to pop off and
course.
say that this is maybe the most mad I've been in terms
Fair.
of feeling like there's no reason that as an author Erickson should be able to make this work, and then he succinctly does. I'm like, why the fuck are these giant carts pulled by giant horses here? How did they get here? Why do they know to be? I have all these questions, right? And then he's like, well, and he says just enough shit about that other continent that is that's plausible enough. That would make these giant and I was just like, I did not think it was possible that he could convince me that there's a real reason. And what's worse is I know the next book we go to Genabacchus, and we're gonna see him hire these goddamn carriages.
Mm-hmm.
Or we're gonna get a
Literally?
sentence, and that's gonna be worse. If we get a sentence, I'll be pissed.
As I read that, though, I couldn't tell if they were being attacked, at the very beginning, or if
Sure.
I literally was like, oh shit's hitting the fan again. It's going, and then it was like, no, here are goodies. You're safe.
I think I like the Trade Guild, and it's interesting that for a moment you thought they were attacking.
Because they came out of nowhere. It's like carts of things flying out of the back and coming from the back. I'm like, oh my God, not again.
And I think for me, the reason it doesn't bother me, and it never has, is because ultimately it doesn't save the day. Do you know what I mean? I know we are not talking about the end of the book yet, but if this was the crucial linchpin that would have saved the chain of dogs, then maybe I would feel differently,
Yeah, that's true. It in the long run, it doesn't do a ton.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
do you know what I mean?
It's still buck wild in the moment, though.
They tried.
Yeah.
They did their best. They did their best.
Yeah, and there is, yeah. But, Josh, in the first half of the book, we also see Diker and List stumble upon the Abanon Jagat Tower that was guiding Corporal List along the way. What'd you think about this? And then they kind of had a little talk about the Talani Mass and the nature of the Jagat.
It was honestly really sad. We've only met 2 Jagats so far, and it's clear that they have such power that, even if they were purely good, they could still just fucking wipe out civilizations, which is wild.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that we, like, I don't know, we don't really meet, but we like get a perspective into like, you know, the fact that they're all kind of just sad and want to be alone because they have that immense power and they know how big of a burden it is. And that was really sad. And then to them be like, I was kind of confused. Like, it seems like they did not die peacefully, nor are their souls at peace, perhaps. Like, they might, I don't know.
I thought that their souls are just like,
I didn't dwell on it.
In peace.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like many cool people in this series die and, like, actually get to rest in the afterlife. A lot of them just get fucked.
Well, I think it resonates, too. It's some of the, like, the history of this land, like, has so many scars on it, you know? And, like, civilizations that have passed, you know? And I've pulled out a quote.
Hit it.
Pogroms need no reason, sir, none that can weather challenge in any case. Difference in any kind is the first recognition, the only one needed. In fact, land, domination, preemptive attacks, all just excuses, mundane justifications that do nothing but disguise the simple distinction. They are not us, we are not them.
Yeah. There's a lot
Powerful.
of like life crisis going on for Diker, and it is so sad. And I hate, and he's always like, "No, guys, everything's gonna be okay." And then in his head, he's like, "Yeah, I lied, but I had to." And it's so shitty. He's like, "Yeah, nothing means anything, honestly."
Our boy carries a lot on his shoulders.
Yeah, our boy does carry the weight of history on him.
He does,
don't
and he lets it be known any chance he gets.
Yeah,
That's true.
Alrighty, let's keep on popping along.
That is my name.
Let me try again.
Okay, I'm ready.
Josh, we check in on the Ragstopper briefly for kind of our last moment before we get to Malaz City and, you know, kind of the whole assassin world begins. So, what as they were like, oh, actually, we're going to Malaz City. What were your suspicions like? How in tune were you to what was going on?
I wish I could say that I saw everything, like saw this coming, but like no. I really didn't have like any of this clued in. I was kind of just along for the ride, much like Kalam was. I was surprised Kalam used the stone to talk to Quickben though, because he already used the one super powerful thing.
Yeah.
That was like getting into the Warren. Was this a one and done stone? Didn't he break a stone or something to get this connection to happen?
I honestly, I do forget.
There was like a powder in it. I thought he like broke the thing, and then he was like, "Quickben is like, you're only gonna get to talk to me once, and you used it now." And he was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, that's right. I think India. So,
but I also know he used Quickben's magic to get into the Imperial Warren because
that's what I'm saying. He
passage,
used two different things. I think he had two things.
Because there's that passage that's like a cheeky riff about enchanting gems and stones.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know. I was surprised he did it. Honestly, it didn't seem like it was. I don't know.
I wouldn't have done it at that time.
I want to talk about the stuff,
especially because he didn't give him any information. He told him nothing.
That's true. If anything, the audience got more information about Genabakis than Kalam got about his current situation.
Yeah, and what did you think that we're kind of getting like a little tease about Genabakis right now?
You know, Peter, I don't know about the tease of Genabakis, so...
Because we get multiple. We get like, I think someone else talks about... in this ending, we get a lot of people talking about Genabakis.
Like, it all... I don't really know the difference between... I thought we were already there, to be honest, in the first book. So it's funny that you're telling me we've never been there.
No.
Oh,
we have
okay,
been there.
okay.
We have been there.
I thought we have.
I just kind of like that. I don't know. I like that it's being refered to.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like things where it happened. Like, can't we just move on? You know, we're in a different story now. But this, I know it's a theme in the book. I know it's going to keep happening.
All right. Well, let's move on. And Inge, let me ask you this. We find Mappo finally kind of faces his own challenge and decides not to surrender Akarium over to the Azath house because
they literally have codependency issues. And thank you. Akarium needed to be in that house. It is for his own benefit.
What?
Preach.
Well, okay, I can't believe this is the take we're going to go with.
I don't think it's bad. I actually think it would be really good for him.
You think it would be good for him to be in the eternal power prison?
I think everyone needs some space every now and again. We're not saying that Mappo can't come back and visit every now and
maybe
again.
we are saying that.
You think the two of them should break up?
I just feel
is what you're saying.
Okay, let's not give labels to it.
We have a friend. Like, if I had a friend who I knew was a danger to literally everyone, I'm not going to be like, well, if I keep this secret from you for always and eternity, and like you only kind of know, but like you don't really know, but like you know, like what are we doing?
Yeah, what is his end game? Because, yeah, there's no end game to this. Eventually, shit will go bad.
Yeah, but Mappo
We all
loves
love
his
our
friend,
friends.
you know, and
Oh,
If
great.
he really loved his
Yeah,
friend,
great.
he'd do what was best for him. And it is to lock him in that
Agreed.
brick house.
It's a brick house. Thank
I
you.
obviously disagree, and I think it's really nice that Mappo doesn't give
Why?
over his friend.
Just because
You
they're
know?
friends?
I mean, I know it. I mean, yeah, that's a great reason. Friendship's great, you know. Shrek and Donkey are great
Shrek
friends.
is not
you know?
that diabolical. That is a bad reference.
Yeah, dude. Shrek just wants his swamp to himself.
And maybe Akarium
He's
just
not out here
wants the
he's not out here
swamp of his
destroying
memories
civilization.
To
back.
be honest, if Akarium knew what was good for him, he would know that it's best for him to be alone. I thought that he was supposed to like solitude.
In Ikarium's defense, he doesn't know that he does this shit because it's been hidden from him by his, I'm gonna say it's Stockholm Syndrome best friend. It's Stockholm Syndrome.
There is, I would say, an unethical element to the memory thing for sure. But you know, Mappo didn't cause him to have his memories be that way. You know,
Yeah, but he maintains it.
Mm-hmm.
like Mappo's guarding Ikarium from the Azath at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're saying it's a mistake.
But you know what?
All right,
No, wait,
let's-
before we keep moving though, because Akarium is like, before they go in, he's like all gung-ho, like, yeah, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna stay there. And then they like knock him out. But
Yeah.
when I woke up, I think I would have went back
You would have went back to what?
my Azath house and just said, I'm here to stay.
But
He woke up without a memory.
He wakes up without a memory. And like that's in like 4 chapters.
But he can't.
Do you know what would have been great though? Is if he woke up without a memory in the Azath house and he doesn't know there's anything else. He just thinks this is what I do. And yes, it's sad and horrific, but
That's
like,
what he does.
He
Be
doesn't
a
know
prison in forever.
It's
That's
not a prison, Peter.
Yeah, you keep using
You
this P
keep
word.
calling
okay?
it a prison, and it's
I think
more
that's
of a
pretty
house. It's more of a humble
I
abode.
think, have
It's
you
more
thought
of
of it as like a
dream
timeshare
house.
opportunity?
I like the timeshare spin. However, you know, if you're saying what's the end game to them wandering around forever, I don't know what the end game to putting Ikarium in the box forever is.
It's not
I
a
do.
box.
He dies eventually. It takes
Oh
a
my
long
God.
time.
All right. Well, let's keep things going. Let's talk about it in the next chapter. I don't know.
I can't wait until
Oh
we
my
get
God.
to the chapter 21.
Yeah, we got time.
Fine.
Chapter 20. Sauk Ilan suspects Kalam is headed back to kill the Empress. Sauk thinks they're being tracked through a warren, and at midnight they will reach Malaz City. In front of the Azath, Fiddler fails to open the door as well. Ikarium wakes and wants to join the battle, but Mappo stops him. After Moby touches the door latch, the group falls into Tremolor. Ikarium is limp. The Scarlpust enters the house alone, and Fiddler discovers a Forkrell Assail corpse on the ground. This Azath is similar to the Deadhouse in Malaz City. The Scarl thinks they must give Ikarium to the Azath when the Trigal Trade Guild appears and delivers a package from Quickbent. And then they are gone. Fiddler finds many munitions in the box, and Aptalar deduces that Moby is actually the disguised form of a great demon. Aptalar says they all want to travel through the warren to the other Azath houses. And at the bottom of the spare case, they spot the unconscious body of Dasamaltor's daughter, placed here after the first sword saved her from Hood. The group says goodbye to Moby and travel by warren out of the Azath. Corblodam's army besieges Coltane's as they both continue to march, Malazan and Wiccan soldiers collapsing and dying along the way. Captain Lull and the female marine speak of a local tribe that is sympathetic to the Malazans that could support them. Diker then rides to meet Coltane. The commander will send Diker, Nether, Nil, and the refugees forward. They will ride to Aaron as Coltane tries to hold off Corblodam's final stab, and Corporal List gives Diker a token from his unnamed lover. Diker and the refugees ride forward and pay for passage across the remaining tribal lands to this sympathetic local tribe. 30,000 refugees ride on. Nether can no longer contact Cultane, however. The warlock is too far from the war leader, and a troop of Wiccans guide them forward. After a feud with nobility, a noble attempts to challenge Diker, who swiftly disposes of him. Just before sunset, they arrive at Arran, and see the great Malazan gate that marks Arran Way. Corbeil Dom's army rides for them, but with renewed energy, some refugees rush to the city. Diker escorts a small child into the city and hands it off to a Malazan captain named Kenib. The refugees and Diker make it inside the city walls. In the Warren of Shadow, Apt escorts her child named Panic. Cotillion arrived and is called Uncle by the boy. Cotillion comforts the boy when Panic speaks of his past trauma. Cotillion will teach him not to be helpless. Panic can see into the shadow hold. Panic will travel with Apt to look after Kalam, and Cotillion says he has a daughter who he feels needs to apologize to him. With Malazan Harbor in sight, Kalam is paralyzed. Salkalan reveals himself to be Pearl, the leader of the Claw, and the Claw take care of their own. Pearl stabs Kalam in the side and throws him into the water, knowing that assassins are waiting on the city shore. Apt appears to defend Kalam, but Pearl summons a Kenral demon and disappears. The captain, Cartheron Crust, wakes up, has some memories of this city. Afterwards, Manala, on horseback, jumps off and makes her way to shore. All right, to tackle this a little bit out of order, because we just were talking so much about what's going on in Tremolor. Let me ask you this, Inge. Let's take the Kalam part of this chapter first. So in chapter 20, we see Salk Ilan's true identity to be revealed. Kalam gets stabbed and thrown overboard. Did you see it coming? What did you feel? Let me know what you think.
Okay, no. So we all knew that something was up with Salk. He was a lot. He was weird. He was mysterious. He came out of nowhere.
He was extra for sure.
He was too good to be true, if you ask me. A little obsessed, a little weird. So was I surprised it was Pearl? Yes. Was not even thinking that could be Pearl, but I did know that it would be something bad. I just thought that his name was probably still Silk.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out, that he's a claw, the red person.
No, he's a claw. He's a claw.
But a red claw. Red.
No.
Not red at all.
There's no color. He was friends with Lestara Yill, who's a red blade.
The red.
Oh, yeah.
Frickin' Lestara. Okay, yeah. What a worthless character she was. So,
Preach.
yeah, that was kind of surprising. And then they threw him overboard, which I thought he died, even though, I just don't know how. This man he doesn't die.
He's a burly boy.
I think, didn't he stab him in the stomach or the chest? So I thought that when he threw him overboard, he was like, okay, yeah, you're gonna.
He gets stabbed in the side, and Salk and Pearl, who's good at stabbing people, I guess. Mm-hmm. He does it on purpose not to kill him, because he's like, all the assassins in the city
are going to be waiting for to kill you. Yeah, you're going to have to swim, then you'll get there.
Because they take care of their own. That's their thing. They kill bad assassins.
Okay, stupid. Stupid. He should have just killed him when he had the chance. If he was going to. I love Kalam. I love him. I know, but I mean, from if I were trying to kill him, I would have killed him right then and there.
Yeah, and the let the other assassins kill him plan didn't really work out now, did it?
Yeah, no, it didn't. It didn't go according to plan. Did not go according to plan. I did after that when when Apt and Panic.
Oh, you should have heard me recording the summaries. I could not choose a way to pronounce the name.
Panic?
Panic?
Which one's that?
Panique?
That's her little son. Her little son.
Oh, yeah, her boy.
Friend.
Her young boy.
Pick a pronunciation.
Yeah, I'm going to say Panic.
I'm going to call him the Cyclops.
Cyclops, good.
I just love when they talk to each other like that. I guess Salkila and Pearl had a demon come to take down the rest of the rag stopper.
Yeah, man. And Panic's
listen,
you're gonna die. This is not a good look, demon.
He was like, all right, Mom, let's get him. I loved that. That was my favorite.
Josh, well, 2 questions. Did you see the Salk reveal coming? And then also, before Apt and Panic kind of show up to save the day, we see them have a conversation with Cotillion. So maybe thoughts about both of those.
I'll go with the cotillion one first.
Sure.
Uncle
I didn't
Cotillion,
understand
you mean.
anything that went on with that. And then at the end, when we meet a cotillion again, it did all make sense. But at the time, I was like, what are we talking about? Why are you so weird and edgy?
Why does it make sense? Oh, I'm glad you can explain that to me then.
It's going to take a bit. It's the reveal at the end. It was weird. I don't
I-
even know what daughter he's talking about besides maybe Absalar.
I have a great quote from
Can't be
Panic.
Absalar.
Oh, I know what it is. Wait, I know what it is. Okay. I'm looking at our thing. I do think, Peter, I don't know if you can tell me this yet. Cotillion is talking with Apt and Panic, and Cotillion mentions a daughter. Okay, later, there is a girl in the Tremolor house. Is that the daughter of someone important?
It's the daughter of someone important, but it's not Cotillion's daughter.
Okay, I didn't know if that's who he was talking about. I couldn't feel, it's either that or Absalar, but I didn't know which. We don't know yet? Okay. You can't reveal. You're biting your bottom lip. Okay.
The woman in the Azath house is Dacimal
is the daughter of the first sword, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But does
Who's-
that
and
not,
he-
does that
he's a
matter
mem-
yet?
We can talk about it. It's this chapter. Dacimal Tor is a member of the Emperor's Old Guard who is an important historical figure.
But he was killed, right? And his daughter went missing, but it's just now revealed the daughter's in the Deadhouse?
Yeah, Lysine killed him when she was like ascending to the throne.
Okay, got it. All right. Next is
Josh. I have a really important Panic quote from this scene I want to read.
Okay.
Cotillion's talking to them, and Panic says, "I like dogs."
And he's like, I have a bunch. They're cuddly.
so good. Oh, right, he's talking. Oh, that's so good.
And
That was
Cotillion
so
says something
sad.
back like, "I think they like you too."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
that
so
was
good.
I literally love when that little freaking kid speaks. I just imagine
Yeah.
him with his one
I
eye
mean, he
looking
is
like a little
a nightmare
demon
creature, but
with
like
skin.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Salk Elon thing is an example of everything that Erickson has done so far has been so high level that when I met Salk Elon, I thought it was Pearl, and then went, that's too simple of an explanation. Erickson wouldn't do that. He's too good for me. I'll never figure out his schemes. And then it
Yeah.
was Pearl. I didn't figure out his scheme.
So you're trying to predict the zag that sometimes he just gets you with the zig.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, also, before we leave Malaz Harbor, we see Manala jump off on horseback to make her way there.
Find her man.
Yeah. Which definitely, to be honest, when I think about that like too hard, I do like start to question
Yeah,
some of the logistics of it all.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know.
Where has she been this whole time?
Yeah.
She's been on that boat.
Exactly, but where?
Also,
Hiding?
how did the two
Why?
boats get there at the same time? That's a big question, right?
She came right at the right moment. It was over for him in that moment, and she was like,
Seven Cities Horses, am I right?
I guess so.
can't live with him.
Alrighty. Well, before we get all the way back to Tremolor, since I guess we're kind of taking a non-chronological route through the chapter, we check back with Coltane's army as Corblo Dom's army has grown. They're like chasing them, and Diker goes forward with the refugees, passes through some local tribe lands, and gets the rest of the refugees to Aaron, along with saving a young child along the way, and meeting Captain Keneb in Aaron.
Yeah, I forgot who Keneb was, but I remembered the name, but I still don't know who he is.
He was the captain who traveled with Clam across the desert.
Oh, yes. Okay, that makes
He's
sense. then.
Manala's brother-in-law, I guess.
Oh, he's healed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. It would have been nice to remember that when I was reading it. So, okay, yeah. I feel like a lot happens there. So I want to discuss. When Coltane said, you're going to go off with the refugees, was that like a plan that he knew, all right, we're all going to die, so let's get the refugees out?
Interesting question. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, right? Like, the whole stunt was like...
Like, I
we've gotta
know,
get-
I know that, like, then they came and then they had to fight them to keep them. So, but, like, he really did, like, he wasn't, like, thinking that they could win it all. Like, he knew that they were going to die.
No, this was... He wasn't going to send them away until he was sure that there was no hope.
Oh, so then that's really sad.
Yeah, real... Hey, real quick, I would like to... This is called Josh Eats His Own Words, a history. Hey, Coltane's really cool, and I did say that he should just sacrifice the refugees, and I've realized that was dumb, and also, he's the greatest human I've ever read about, and I
wanna
really
be
regret a
like
lot of
him.
things I've said about Coltane. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Have a good night.
Redemption.
Well, I'm glad you've seen the error of your ways.
Yeah, yeah.
I would feel, I don't know how to follow it, but I'll say this. I would feel like, I don't know if he knew he was going to die when he sends the refugees forward, but like, I'm sure he understands that things were in a dire position. If that makes any sense? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That was sad. Okay, well, all right.
And
cool.
we haven't even talked about Diker says goodbye to the female Marine he had a fleeting tryst with.
That to me is the stupidest thing in the whole world, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
It was not. Don't try to even call it anything because it did not satisfy any part of me.
I do know what you mean. It is like, I don't exactly know why that's in here, but you know. Like, I guess, do you know what I mean? Diker can have a sex life. I'm okay with it. I don't know why, you know.
It's just not, it's so irrelevant that the female Marine doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
That's just how.
She puts her name on the paper, right?
He never looks at it.
Well, not in this life. All right.
Not in any life.
Well, we don't know yet.
Alrighty. Well, Josh, how'd you feel about seeing this? How are you? Let's get into headspace. How are the two of you feeling at this point, vis-a-vis, like, because this is our last time before we really see Coltane die, and then
stop. That's so sad.
Spoilers.
You really said that like it didn't even matter.
All right.
That was horrible.
But how did you feel at this? Like, I'm trying to get into the headspace, you know? Paint me a picture, Josh.
Of what? Like them leaving?
Well, how are you feeling at this point? Where you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to get there and things are going to go great now?
No, I assumed that Coltane would instantly fall and that Duiker wouldn't make it into the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I guess we can talk more about the end of the Chain of Dogs in the next chapter. Yeah. But inside Tremolor, the Trigal Trade Guild arrives, gives them some junk, and then they see Dacimaltor's daughter, and then they also see that the Azath is going to be able to kind of teleport them, is the word I want to use, but I know that's kind of, magically move them around the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
How'd you feel about learning this, Inge?
Let's talk about this Azath house.
Sure.
Why are they going there?
What do you mean?
Why did they go there?
Why did who go there?
Why did all of Fiddler, Mappo, and Akarium kind of, but not really, Absolar, Croak?
Fiddler Fiddler wanted to use the Tremolor to magically teleport to.
So a Tremolor isn't a place. A Tremolor is not a place.
They're the Tremolor house.
Yeah, that's the name of this
house
Azath
of the
house.
Azath. Yeah, they all have names. Can I ask a question?
I hate.
Sure.
Oh
Who names them?
I think a naming committee formed by the local government.
Probably.
Yeah, because it's like this was in a fucking random. This was in a warren in the middle of a desert that could be at any time just surrounded by a whirlwind. So like, who the fuck knew that it was there and then came back? How did they come back with a name for it?
I think the city clerk maybe gets a say.
Oh, is this? You have to go to the registrar for this?
Yeah, you need to go to the.
Is this what a comptroller does? I've been wondering.
That's actually what comptrolling is. It's who gets to name your local Azath. No, Fiddler was coming to use this Azath to teleport to Malaz City.
And it was just a hunch they had that's how they could use it, right?
Oh, whatever. Okay. So I'm glad that the Azath house did exactly what it was supposed to.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
the whole book would have been useless if it didn't, India.
I mean, yeah, but like technically, wasn't the whole book supposed to be about Shaik, who died in the first 2 minutes?
Well, what is Shaik may never die? I mean...
That is fact.
I can't wait to talk about Shaik next chapter.
I can wait. You know, it's funny though, because like in the beginning, I hated, obviously, Diker and Coltane. I hated everything about them. But at the end, they had the most interesting ending, in my opinion.
True.
IMO.
Interesting. So do you think it's the ending that made you warm up to them, or?
I feel like he really left me no choice with how in detail he went about how all of them brutally died.
Yeah.
and just
Yeah,
how
that got rough.
loyal and noble they all were until the very fucking end. It's just very sad. I was very upset. Also, in this chapter, is it this one where frickin' Crocus has to leave Moby? Because that was sad as hell.
Oh,
yes, they say goodbye to Moby in this one after.
My boy Moby.
We're not just going to breeze over that. That was emotional.
Now let's talk about, Moby's actually like an ultra powerful demon also, and was protecting them in the whirlwind and just mangling fools.
And
Moby's
I love
cute.
how at the beginning they were like, it's just a Bokoral. How weird that it's here. Nah.
That's so weird.
But-
And it was a D'Ivers or a Soul Taken, so it has other forms.
It has every form. Maybe it's Absolar.
Moby's a chiller.
God.
And it's here that we do see Dacimal Tor's daughter. And we kind of talked about it earlier. Just thought it was mentioning.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
So do we ever go back to these houses? Any one of them, as you put it?
That would be a spoiler, I think, but...
Okay.
I would,
because I asked for a reason.
The Azath are important to the series for sure, and like that's why, especially at the end of Gardens of the Moon, when the Azath kind of just shows up,
Yeah.
like this. After reading the whole series, it's like, oh well, of course, it like I don't know, you understand what Azath are more, so it makes a lot of sense. But you see how at the climax of this book, the Azath is really important again.
Yes.
They're important to the series for sure.
I only asked because of that man that came out to talk to Moby, and they were like, they think you're alone.
Well, but that was like the armor, right? That was weird.
That was weird, but I liked it because he
Was
wasn't
that one
alone.
of the Azath?
Just weird, just very odd. This is just an odd. I don't even want an explanation. I don't even care.
I kind of like it. It's so dreamy,
That's one way of looking at it.
It's
I
not
don't
the way
know if-
I would, but...
I think it's in the next chapter when they're walking on the big mosaic floor and the indifferent dragons are above them, or maybe that's
Oh,
later
yeah,
on.
that's weird. That's trippy as shit.
It's all kind of trippy, and that's I feel like whenever I think about Tremolor and this whole Warren area, I don't know, it's all kind of just in this like almost psychedelic blur in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
What you're telling me is I should read this medicated.
Yeah.
I don't... what?
All right, Christ.
Moving
I
right
guess
along.
I guess you did finish the book medicated now, did you though?
Yeah,
I guess
true.
technically you could say.
No. Alrighty, let's get into it. Let's talk about the next chapter. Chapter 21. Felicin watches over her army with her wayward orphan. Haborik arrives and warns her of Lorik, one of her new High Mage counselors. Haborik asks why and how Dryjna brought her to this point. Felicin says the journey was hers alone, and not all mysteries can be unraveled. Felicin knows about Korblodam's army and is expecting Tavor. In Erin, Nether and Diker rush to the watchtower. Highfest Pormqual watches the gate, along with the Gistal priest Malik Rel and a stressed Malazan commander named Blistig. They watch as Coltane, Bolt, and a few remaining Wiccans and Malazans desperately ride towards the city. Highfist Pormqual could act, but he refuses. Rebel forces descend, slaughtering the Malazan soldiers. Bolt is pinned to the ground and killed, and Coltane is swarmed by enemy soldiers. Coltane is nailed to a cross alive, and the mage Chemist Relo attempts to massacre the crows that are flocking to try and take Coltane's soul. From the city wall, a Malazan soldier named Squint is ordered to end Coltane's suffering. An arrow is fired and strikes Coltane dead. Coltane's soul rises, crows swarm his body, and when they leave, the body is gone. So, before we talk about the Chain of Dogs ending, it's worthwhile to briefly touch on a subject that Felicin and Haborik talk about. Josh, we see Felicin and Haborik kind of speak exactly to what we
Sorry,
were
who?
arguing about
Who?
last time.
Who?
Felicin and
Who?
Shaik Reborn. Is this
Thank
what
you.
you're?
Thank you.
The
The god is formerly known as Felicin.
We see the two of them arguing, not arguing, kind of having a discussion about how they arrived here and
This is
the
funny.
whirlwind goddess. What did you think of this conversation?
It's bullshit.
She is
Okay.
bullshitting. I
It's
agree.
bullshit.
What do you mean?
There's not an answer. There's not an the journey was hers. No, it's bullshit. She doesn't have an answer. Shaik got in her, and there's no real answer as to when or why.
You do
And it
believe Shaik is in
infuriates
her
me.
now? You do
I
believe that?
100%. Yeah, she's seen shit. Like, she was in the last chapter, she was seeing shit. She controls this whirlwind. Like, Shaik's definitely in her body, but like, oh, how? Why? What's the agreement? Why is Shaik not completely taken over her conscience?
Habora, I got this quote. Now you speak of fate, argue with your fellow scholars. And, this comes at the end of their conversation, and I think it's interesting that, like, I don't know, it just goes back to when, like, they're talking about Shadowthrone's motivations earlier in the book or later on with some conversation between Kalam and Manala, and that's when Erikson is bringing in the meta discussion of the story into the characters' mouths. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's very interesting to have Haborik be here and be like, oh, well, wait a second, how much of this was fate? I already stated my opinion. We don't need to argue about it again, especially since the two of you are wrong. But,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I like when Haborik asks her, hey, so when did you become Shaik?
And there's not an answer.
When, at what point was it when you were here, or you were here, or you were here? And she's like, fuck with me. And that's it. She just is so pompous now. Well, I guess she always kind of, like, no, she was like,
Yeah, what do you mean now?
But now she's just
what
like,
do you mean by that?
like, I just feel like she's just like, I wish you guys could see my facial expression for those not looking directly at me. But, like, she's just so, like, I'm better than you. In that voice at all times.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
true.
it's just me. That's my vibe. I don't care. I'm sticking to it.
Well, she's definitely got an attitude about her, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was worthwhile mentioning that, but really the meat of this chapter is outside the gates of Aaron, where we see the chain of dogs come to an end. We see Bolt's killed, we see Coltane killed, and then he's nailed to a cross.
Oh,
And then
they
from
don't
the city,
let his soul leave.
from the
It's-
city
it's
walls,
rough.
we watch him die.
Yeah,
That was
it's
horrible.
That was rough.
That was rough. Horrible. Oh, but what's even worse was when they were like ripping the scalps off people and ripping their
Oh.
limbs off.
Yeah,
Oh
it was
my
not a
God.
great, like, that last stand was hard to read.
It was
In
violent.
a lot of ways.
And then they were just defending with their bodies. They had no weapons, which means you're literally just a human shield.
Yep.
Dude, I was shook.
Yeah, it's
And then
terrible.
And then the freaking High Fist who's like, yeah, we're not going out
Oh,
there.
fuck
Are you
Pornquist.
kidding?
That dude's an asshole.
He's a fool. He's not an asshole. He's a fucking
You're right.
idiot.
He's an idiot. I got a lot of words for him. They're all not nice.
Yeah, Diker
Yeah.
said him, We don't even need
Yeah.
to say him.
Yeah, Diker speaks a little truth to power later.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost tough for me since it's been a while since I read this passage for the first time,
Mhm.
But I was almost surprised by how much of a bummer it still was. Do you know what I mean? Like, since
Like, even when you know they're all gonna die, it's still hard to read about them all dying.
Yeah, like, since I started the book, I was like, oh, well, this is a long march to Coltane's death. And, I guess the first time it really hit me because I was really invested in Coltane and Diker's story. And it's like, we're so close. We're going to make it. And then the rug kind of gets pulled out from under you there. And it still was pulled out from under me, even though,
Yeah.
like, the whole time I was watching Erikson, like, slowly be pulling underneath my feet. You know what I mean?
I know. I agree. You're like, no, wait, nah, turn around. It's going to happen. He'll be fine.
Also, it's very funny. If you reread it, it is incredibly clear that they're going to die the entire time. And it's incredibly clear how much I ignored all of the signs the first time. Because,
Fair.
even in the second chapter, they're like, well, they're, as soon as they start leaving, they're like, well, this is a long march to their death. And everyone's like, no. And then another person will be like, we're all going to die out here. And just you keep ignoring it. But, did either of you expect this?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I just thought they were just going to keep fighting, and then it would just go to another book, and we'd never... I really didn't see an end to this, especially one like that. But then once it started happening, like,
Yeah. What about you, Josh? Did you think they would, Coltane would go out like this?
Yes.
Yeah?
I just didn't see there being a scenario in which he didn't die, as bad as that is, right? Like, because he set himself up as this incredible leader, leading from the front, like, always putting himself in the line of danger. And it really felt like at some point, I honestly thought he would die in a much less dramatic way, like far earlier, if I'm being honest. So, like, the fact that he held on and had this glorious, like, insane end is, honestly, I thought was almost, like, it was almost cliche, but, like, I mean, it was just so brutal it couldn't be cliche, you know? And there was nothing, there wasn't a lot honorable about his, you know, it wasn't this triumphant, like, thing. It was kind of just dark and brutal and awful to read.
He died like everyone else.
If not worse than everyone else, because he got fucking crucified.
But
and
don't
then
they kind of
luckily took an arrow to the head, but still.
Well, I actually am really struck by... and maybe we can transition to the next chapter, but to me, some of the worst aspects of the end of Chain of Dogs and the whole Eren stuff actually comes later with what happens with Diker, and...
that's the worst. That shit sucks.
I think that's, in some ways, a worse betrayal. I don't know. It's
I love when he sends his horse away, though. And he's like, well, we all know what's happening, guys.
I was kind of bummed because, like, if Pormqual just being, literally not having a backbone felt, like, believable, but having been, like, literally completely lied and hoodwinked the whole time and no one being able to stop it felt shitty. That was tough. That was rough.
Yeah, there's rot there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chapter 22. Bloody and shirtless, Kalam washes into Malaz Bay. Dangerous assassins lie await on the rooftops of the city. Kalam sneaks into a warehouse donning a leather shirt and makeshift weapons. He encounters two assassins, takes their weapons after defeating them, along with poison-tipped crossbow bolts. Kalam kills two more and is out on the hunt for the leader of the Imperial Claw, Topper. Within Tremolor, the group walks across a mosaic-like floor. Relak thinks that each tile looks like a continent, pathways to different worlds and realms. They find one missing tile, an abyss lies underneath. Skarl says that Shadowthone tried to bargain with the Azath over Akarium, but the Azath house was silent. Mappo is still unsure whether he broke his vow when not surrendering Akarium. Then, both Mappo and Akarium fall into darkness. Apsalar tries to grab them, but is pulled back. The group continues to walk through this strange world. Above them fly three indifferent dragons. At Eren, Korblo Dam has made camp out front of the city walls and celebrates their victory over Coltane. Commander Blistig's soldiers are feeding and healing the refugees. Malazans are distraught over the slaughter at the gate. Commander Blistig asks for Diker's account of the events. The noble Nethapara has shared his account, which blames Coltane for the death of thousands of refugees. Malak Rel thinks they should attack Korblo Dam before Tavor or Shaikh arrives to reinforce the battle. Duiker rushes to the High Fist, saying they must wait for the arrival of Adjunct Tavor. Pormqual dismisses him, saying that Duiker and the Warlocks must follow them into battle before their arrest. Malak Rel gloats, and as the noble Nethapara comes to, Duiker strikes the man down. Pormqual's army rides out into a basin, quickly falling into a simple trap by the rebel army. Malak blames Duiker, who cannot mount a defense, before Malak Rel convinces the Fist to have his army lay down their weapons. Duiker sends his horse back to Eren, and the army disarms as the rebels have surrounded them. Malak Rel offers up the Malazans and Eren to Shaikh's forces. Korblo Dam and his mage, Kamist Relo, greet the commanders. Duiker, however, speaks up, saying that Commander Blistig will be able to hold the city until Tavor's arrival, and Malak Rel strikes Duiker. The historian falls, the smoky bottle breaking on his chest. Corblodam speaks of his impending battle with Tavor, and then has High Fist Pormqual decapitated. In front of Aaron, the remaining Malazan soldiers are dragged to cedar trunks and nailed to them. Duiker is the last to be nailed, and has visions of his dead friends to see at Hood's Gate. And he dies. To pick up where we left off, we were talking about the rot and in Aaron, and in this part, we see this more clearly demonstrated as Malik Rel kind of is demonstrated to be a huge piece of shit, is the term I would use.
I'd say it's fair.
He kind of, he's like, well, wait, we should go attack him now. And then, Pormqual rides up, they send their horses away, and, and then Diker gets crucified at the end. Yeah,
a horrific slaughter.
Yeah, it's a big old slaughter. So, Josh, how'd you feel about kind of seeing kind of the internal reasons for the politics of the slaughter and kind of seeing this betrayal in a way?
Well, it sucked because I just feel like in many other examples we've seen of the Malazan military, like, a lot of these soldiers and captains and people think for themselves. And we even see that small contingent think for themselves and realize how terrible an idea this is. And it kind of sucks to think that, like, this one guy, Malik Rel, somehow, like, manages to completely snuff that out in every single way this whole time. And even as they're clearly marching into their death, has snuffed out, like, any people with free will. It just sucked, man. And, like, the image of just them putting their weapons down, knowing, like, as the reader, knowing what's going to happen next, is just really rough to read. It's powerful imagery, but it was rough.
Yeah, I think putting the weapons down is tough because, like, I mean, they do talk about Ballistic feeling frustrated, and, like, obviously Ballistic recognizes that, like, I don't know, the injustice of it. But, like, those soldiers who are, like, because you could, like, maybe say that Pormqual, I guess, is in some way responsible, and, like, maybe his death is his own fault in a way.
Oh,
but, like, all
those
soldiers under his command, that's
Pormqual
just
got off easy. Screw that dude.
Okay, I'm not defending him, but what I'm saying is
it sounds like you're a Pormqual apologist, and that's a tough stance to take.
No, what I'm saying is the soldiers under his command are, like, he's also responsible for their death, and that's even more unjust,
Yes, for sure.
India, how'd you feel about seeing these forces march out and then Diker meeting his own crucifixion?
I was sad. I think that if I were that army, I would have said no. Their blind loyalty is fucking stupid, and it's like addressed multiple times how they're like super loyal, and they just do whatever whenever someone says it. And I'm just like, guys, you had to know that when you put your weapons down and you literally were circled and walked to them, that it was game over. And then to add insult to injury, they didn't just kill them. They literally tortured all of them.
Yeah.
Fucked up. And then poor Diker had to watch like 10,000 people, however many it was, be strung up and like, crucified, only to be at the end when he was already a broken man, literally had nothing left, and thinking that he had seen everything and he'd never felt more agony in his life to be like, I thought that until I started to be crucified.
Yeah.
That was truly sad. That was so bad. I was so upset.
So it sounds like, I mean, because you weren't always a Diker fan in a way.
Shut up. I don't know her. I don't know that woman. I'm changed.
You're a changed woman. Something I really like about this section is that when Nethpara, the total piece of shit noble, is like, well, actually, Coltane's responsible for all the deaths,
Screw that dude.
It's very interesting that then, like, Diker's account as a historian is called on, and it is one of those things how it's showing how events are informed by the people witnessing them, and
the
history is shaped like that,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting way to bring his job as a historian into the plot, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? Also, he kills Nethpara, which is like
So good.
Very
metal.
It's very funny.
I've never liked to read about somebody's throat being crushed more in my life, and their head snapping back. Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful visuals, as always. Thank you, Erickson.
One of the few good parts of the before, the mass crucifixions.
Wait, so he said that he saw a Jai-Cut ghost and then he died. What's that about?
Well, he's like
obviously dying, but
well, in my mind, it's like calling back to when he's thinking about the Jagat and the pain they've suffered from the kind of hatred and wars against their people. And I think in my mind, it's kind of him recalling the suffering and kind of the agony that was never let go.
Yeah. I didn't think of it like that. And then he saw his unnamed lover. He was excited to see her.
Ugh.
That's so sad. Let's move on. This really this was some...
We're gonna be able to ramp up. I know it's kind of a nadir, but before he left, it's worth mentioning. I guess
I just learned that word today while teaching a class. That's so funny.
Tell me the word.
Nadir. I was teaching about writing counterpoint and how a good cantus firmi typically has a climax and a nadir, and I had never heard that before.
What is it?
It just means like a low point.
Yeah, low point. The opposite of a climax, basically, like the lowest point. That's funny.
I felt like damn.
What?
Josh said opposite of a climax, and I just felt like there was some joke to be made.
I know.
But
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to.
It's
I was
called
like,
edging.
I'm too mature to make this joke right now.
It's called edging. We can all be adults.
I just didn't. There's something funny there, but I'm too much of an idiot to think of those one thing. So, anyway. But I'd be remiss to mention that Pornqual gets decapitated before we leave. Blistig remains in the city, and Malik Rel kind of joins his fellow rebels, so to speak. Although we see them speak later on when Shaik revives, right? Because I don't think Fullison comes until later on.
She comes at the end.
Yeah.
Her name's
Alrighty,
Shaik.
so let's leave Aaron and the slaughter at the gates to talk about inside Tremolor. We see Mappa Necarium fall into darkness after they're kind of walking on this long thing, and then Apsalar and Fiddler keep on going. Any thoughts about this, or are we just still, I don't know. I mentioned that I like this dreamy section.
Josh?
Wait, sorry, what section?
We're talking about them being in Tremolor.
Oh God! Yeah, no, that was weird. It was kind of like almost like one of my nightmares, like the idea of like endlessly walking with no destination and just like no sense of time around you. Like it's kind of real fucked up and trippy. I mean, it was again a very evoking image. And like that first time when Iskarol Pust just vanishes. And, like, they're all like, are we just gonna fall into nothing? I kind of assumed that they were gonna fall into real something, like, that's how you traveled. But it was scary. I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah.
Where are the dragons going?
Oh.
Peter, hey,
Peter. That's that dragon, right? That's the dragon we saw earlier, the Talani Mass Dragon, which, like, we just haven't heard about for a while.
There's 3, I thought.
There's 3. I'm uncertain whether it's that dragon. I do think we see that dragon again, but my memory's failing me right now.
Okay.
We haven't talked about Ascarl Pus much. He does mention that he was Shadow Throne's trying to bargain with the Azath. He talks a little bit earlier in the last chapter about Akarium, because he's trying to get Akarium in the Azath. Well, what did we feel? Because this is one of our last times seeing Ascarl Pus before the very end of the book. India, what's your overall temperature on Ascarl Pus throughout the book?
He's a moron, and everything that he says is weird and confusing, and he does it on purpose. And just say what you mean. Say what you mean. That's all I have to say.
I'm an Ascarl Pus fan. I'm here for getting...
Peter, didn't we just say that we all hated him in like the last one? Didn't we all hate him?
I just like whenever Erickson's getting wacky, Pete's here for it, and like Ascarl Pus is just a wacky kid, he's just walking around saying
random shit.
Words.
Whatever he's, yeah.
The words don't make sense, but he'd be saying them,
I like when they're mean to him. That's really what yeah. I've no.
And finally we see to kind of bring us into the next chapter, so to speak, we see Kalam washing up on shore. He gets some low-level equipment, and then he starts his grind through the city.
I know we know how badass Kalam is, but these chapters cement that like he is the most powerful person I think we have met physically.
Truly. So badass. Never dies.
Yeah.
Stab him whenever you want.
Definitely in like a physical sense, you know, because we've met a lot of powerful magic people, but I think Clam definitely demonstrates like, I don't know, some fucking skills with a Z, you know?
Agreed. Any weapon.
All right.
Every weapon.
But we can talk a lot more about him in the next chapter. So, chapter 23. Clam hunts claws in Malazan City. He kills a pair, but soon more descend on him. Manala appears, saving Clam, and pulls him onto her horseback. They ride together towards Mock's hold. In the Deadhouse, Fiddler, Crocus, Rallick, and Apsalar find the Azath's guardian, the Jagat Gothos. Gothos is Ikariam's father, who has resigned himself to life in the Azath. Ikariam tried to free his father by attacking the Azath, but failed, wounding the Warren and Ikariam's memory. Gothos speaks of the Nameless Ones, who had truly destroyed Mappo's home in order to coerce the Trell into becoming Ikariam's watcher. The group steps into Malaz City, where they meet Apt and Panic. Panic will guide them to meet Clam at Mock's hold. Manala and Clam are magically drawn to the old keep. Empress Lysine invites Clam into the main hall, asking why the assassin wants to kill them. Clam speaks of the old emperor, the bridge burners, and the slaughter on Genabacchus. Lysine does not evade, but offers answers. She explains that she only ordered Tashrin to kill Sari, and not the bridge burners. Furthermore, Duzek and Lysine have conspired together, and the outlawing of the bridge burners is a ploy so that Duzek's army can remain safely on Genabacchus and make allies. Lysine took the throne from Dancer and Kellenved since the Empire needed more from them. It was not a personal choice. Lysine also claims responsibility for the murder of Dacimal Tor. Clam sheaths his weapon and spares the Empress. Manala is disappointed and they escape into the city. However, after Clam leaves, we see that Lysine's voice was projected through a corpse. The Empress orders Clam's life to be spared, but Topper thinks it's too late to stop the descending claws. Outside, Clam and Manala are surrounded, but quickly saved by Apt. Fiddler is united with Clam, and everybody is pulled into the Warren of Shadow. After greeting the once Emperor, they speak to the now God Shadow Throne. Crocus, Apsalar, and Rallick say they wish to return to Idko Khan, and the god sends them there. Fiddler says he wishes to re-enlist and joins Tavor's army in 7 cities. And Kalam is shown the thousands of children saved by his command. So, we'll talk all about Clam's journey in Malaz City next, but first, we see Fiddler, Crocus, and Apsalar. We see them meet the Azath's guardian, the Jagat Gothos, who is Ikariam's father, and he talks kind of about how Ikariam's memory was wounded and kind of a little bit of history that we now, as the readers, know about Mappo and Ikariam that they didn't learn, so to speak. How'd you feel about learning all this information before they kind of leave the Azath and get pooped out into Malaz City?
I thought that was super random, like extraordinarily random. I didn't understand until you read the summary that, like, did he or did he not, Ikariam, does he or does he not destroy things?
He does destroy things, 100%.
But he did not destroy Mappo's home.
Yes. So we can finally kind of talk about this. Josh said last episode that he thought he had a picture of it, but he was just missing a few pieces. And it's at this point that we kind of see the whole picture that the Nameless Ones actually destroyed Mappo's home.
Yeah.
And then was like, yo, Mappo, Ikariam did it. You should be his guardian. And Mappo's like, okay, I guess I have to now, you know?
Why Mappo, though? Like, what? So random.
So are all Trell this kind of ageless superhuman, or is Mappo special?
Great question.
Trell definitely have physical differences.
But, like, Mappo and Ikariam have been together for, like, an insanely long time. Is that common for a Trell to live that long? Do we know yet?
They have been around a long time, for sure.
His last guardian killed himself, so.
Yeah.
No.
Was his
Josh, how'd
last
you feel
guardian
about-
a Trell?
No, not that I know of. How'd you feel about learning more about this backstory between them and learning about how Akarium wounded his memories in the first place?
It's very sad.
I think really for me, it just made what I already thought was kind of a very sad plot line sadder. Like, I feel so bad for Mappo. Akarium I feel bad for in kind of like this almost like childlike way. Like, I feel bad for him as if like, I don't know, like in a parental sort of way.
So he should be put in prison forever? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
his
it's the
dad's
right
in
choice.
prison and his dad is happy.
Oh,
Oh
okay,
my
India,
God.
let's back up on that one. That's not a great take. I don't know if we want to, if that's the argument we want to
He
make.
likes his solitude. You guys are missing a very, very blatant point about these people.
Oh,
Come on.
I don't love. Okay, I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna.
Hot take.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I understand your point about maybe the Jaggets like solitude, but I don't think they
He
like
literally
prison.
kicked them out of his house. He wanted to be alone so bad. He was like, right, I told you that. You gotta go. Take some healing water on your way out. You're welcome.
Okay.
Because I'm a nice guy.
He is pretty friendly. You got to give him
yeah,
that.
he was cool. He's a chiller.
He's hospitable.
Yeah. But I would say, yeah, I just think it made me feel sad for them both. I think I feel worse for Mappo than I do Akarium. Because Mappo has to live with these centuries and centuries, maybe even millennia of just like the same cycle over and over
Josh,
again.
what are you saying? Would you feel bad for somebody who made an active choice to live that way forever?
Yeah, because he's doing it like out of guilt.
But
Listen.
now, Josh, he's doing it out of love.
But he's also doing it because of a lie.
But now he's doing it because he loves his friend, you know?
And if he really loved his friend, he would imprison him for eternity.
And guess what?
take.
He probably would have found his dad in prison.
Yeah, they
would
definitely
have
can. Yeah,
lived
they definitely can
together.
talk. They definitely can talk amongst the Azath houses. Him and his dad could have caught up.
All I gotta say is Mappo's an idiot. He's really nice. I feel
Oh
bad
my
for him, but like I'm not gonna feel bad for you when you're making it. You made your bed, lay in it.
Mm.
This is your choice. You make it every day.
You're
You
not
want to be
wrong.
free. You want to go live your life, your best life. You could, but instead you walk around with your Akarium, ball and chain, baby, ball and chain.
I am honestly flabbergasted by the pivot we've taken on today's episode, but I like their beautiful friendship, you know? And you can call it codependent if you want, but...
And I will.
And I do know what you mean, Josh. I do think Mappo's a little sadder because in some ways he knows he's bearing more of the emotional burden since Akarium always is forgetting, you know?
Yeah, it's rough.
Per his own choice.
Well, Akarium didn't
God
choose
damn it,
to...
idiot. And I was spit all
No,
over my computer.
Mappo.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
Freaking
listen.
Mappo.
But
Martyr. Mappo the martyr is more like it.
All right. I don't know. I don't know if that joke was. I don't know if there's anything. I get there was a bit of alliteration.
2 M's. Duh.
Got 2 M's. Nailed the joke. All right. And then they kind of they get out into the city and they meet Apt and Panic, who's gonna guide them to see Clam at Mock's Hold. And Josh, we see Clam fight his way through the rest of the city. He meets up with Manala, and then he finally confronts the Empress Lacine in Mock's Hold. And Lacine lets open the gates, lets out the secret, and Clam spares her life. So what did you think about this? This is really our first time seeing Lacine, so to speak.
Yeah.
Since the prologue, not the
Yeah, I was
prologue.
gonna say we
since
saw her in the prologue.
Yeah, but we see her elsewhere in early Gardens of the Moon. But you know what I mean.
So, okay, so let's talk about the gigantic reveal, which let me say, until I hear it from fucking Dujek One Arm, I'm gonna take everything she said with a grain of salt. Okay?
Okay.
So, God, it's tough because like, okay, so to recap, what she says is that the plan of Dujek One Arm rebelling in order to gain the trust of the people on Genabakis is all part of the plan to fight off the Panion whatever because they're the biggest threat on that continent. And it made more sense. It made more sense for the army of Dujek One Arm to team up with the locals because there's some very powerful figures, the Kaladin Brood, Animated Rake, all that.
Animated Rake.
Yeah, it makes okay. So I get that, and it does answer some kind of lingering questions I had because it was kind of a very buck wild thing that was happening in there on the first book. Okay, So if that's true, that's crazy. Now, what really threw me off was the lives, the resources we spent to get here. And Kalam just needs 8 sentences, and he's like, all right, my work's done. And does it? Well, first off, he couldn't have murdered her because she wasn't there. But, like, that's all it was? He just needed to speak with her? They have fucking arm bones that do that. There's letters. Like, this seems like a gross misuse of resources to speak to her. I don't, especially considering Dujek has spoken with her, and it's all the same page.
But Clam didn't know this.
Yeah, but didn't fucking Whiskey Jack?
Calam's goal wasn't like, I want to reach out to Lacine and check up on my friend. Like, he was coming to kill her and then change.
But he was with the people who knew the shit. So why didn't they tell them the shit?
Well, because, what do you mean?
Why was Clam not privy to all this information? Apparently Quickben's not either, because they were in on it. So does Whiskey Jack even know? Like, I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of pivotal information that pivotal characters should have known.
You think Clam should have been privy to these plans?
Yeah, he's like the single most powerful human being that we've met.
I don't know if I would say that, but
human
being
in terms of physical strength and like ability to kill people.
India, how did you feel about Clam learning all this?
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
I realized none. I read it. I did not listen.
Oh.
I read it, and I did not get that. I literally didn't know why he spared her life. I remember I read all these things about making connections and this and that, but I didn't realize what you just said, Josh. That's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah.
Well, knowing that, why was she in a dead body?
Well, I think
it's like a contingency.
There's like the risk of Kalam not listening to her and just running in and trying to like fucking stab her in the throat, I guess.
But didn't she say that he recognized that she wasn't her?
Well, because she was in the dead body.
Correct.
So, but if she
So
had been
even
there,
if he did want to kill her, didn't she think that he realized that she wasn't her?
But didn't you just ask why she spoke through the dead body?
I thought she was dead, but you just confirmed that she's not.
Oh, no,
No,
she's just
it's
talking
like-
through a dead body.
Yeah.
I was like, is she not her?
I think it's clear in this moment, and it's when Lacine speaks about it, it's like, oh, well, I killed Kellenvet and Dancer because, like, they were, the Empire needed more. And I think it's like, Lacine speaking about the idea of the Malazan Empire, which Kalam has affinity for and serves in a way. And I think it shows in this passage, especially since they talk about what's going on Genabakis, how, you know, Lacine is still working to the ends of the Empire. And I think that is probably why Kalam spares her, if that makes sense. I really like the part at the end where Manala on the steps is like, this was disappointing. I thought you would kill her. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I
think that's really clever.
Well, that's a bigger deal than I thought it was.
But then on the steps, and Lacine also, this is another mention of Dacimal Tor, who is a character we're talking about in this episode, I guess. And then on the steps, they meet, there's a big happy reunion after Clam leaves and spares the life, and they meet up with Fiddler and everybody, and then Shadow Throne kind of shows up and whisks everyone away. He sends Crocus, Apsalar, and Apsalar's father to Itko Khan. He sends Fiddler to join Tavor's army in 7 cities, and Clam is kind of shown all the children that he saved earlier in the book.
That was a wild twist I did not expect. That was very heartwarming. I don't think it'll last, but it was cool.
That you like the kids.
Oh, I like the kids. I like the Shadow Throne giving him the option of being like, you can be their eternal parents. Like, that's a chill life.
Yeah.
He's not going to take it, obviously, but
13,000 children? Who wouldn't want that?
Was it 13,000? Holy shit.
It's a ton of kids.
A lot of
How'd
kids.
you feel about this wrapping up, everyone kind of getting a kind of gift from Shadow Throne, so to speak?
He's like the Wizard of Oz.
It is a little Wizard of Ozzy.
Literally, it is.
Yeah.
I liked it. But
It was
really,
nice.
what exactly did Manala and Kalam, what did they, like, is that it? Was it like, you get the kids or nothing, LOL?
Well, we kind of cut away before we see too much of how they respond, you know?
That's adorable. Are they dead?
No.
No.
The kids are alive?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
That's when they brought them all back to life?
Well, are they alive or are they like pseudo alive?
I think they're alive.
Like, are they
Are
gonna
we gonna
age
ever-
and eventually like die, or are they just kind of like there?
Honestly, I don't understand the question. So
Are they infinitely stuck as kids, or are they like real ass humans that are gonna grow and shit?
they're kids. I don't.
Okay.
How did you feel about them getting sent back to Idco Khan? What do you think awaits them there?
I don't know, Peter. I don't know what awaits them there. You tell me what awaits them there.
All right, Josh. What do you think about Fiddler's choice to re-enlist? He yes, please. Would like some more soldiering.
Fucking sappers, man. Am I right?
Am I
What
right?
is a sapper?
Someone
They're
that
like-
deals with
And
explosives
Fiddler
and
is a
mining.
sapper.
Yeah, so people
Fiddler.
that deal with like destroying city walls and undermining fortifications and using explosives.
Yeah.
I don't like when they call him the sapper because I didn't know that was him for a long time.
Oh, yeah, that'll
Just
do
so
it.
you know.
Yeah. Alrighty. We got one more chapter. Let's close out this book.
Let's do it. We're only at an hour and 22 minutes.
Chapter 24. Felison and the army of the Whirlwind arrive at Erin, seeing the aftermath of Corblodam's slaughter. She speaks to her mages and reflects on her last argument with Tavor. She has named her adopted daughter, Felison Younger. Corblodam, Camus Relo, and Malik Rel come to kneel to Shaikh Reborn. Leoman argues with Corblodam. Erin remains occupied by the Malazan and Tavor has arrived. However, Corblo feels unchallenged. Tavor Paran is a new leader, untested, and a noblewoman picked by the Empress to lead. Despite Corblodam's confidence, Felison commands the rebellion to fall back to Raraku. They will battle Tavor on their own terms. Haborik hears a god's laughter. In Erin, Blistig welcomes the adjunct Tavor, her entourage, and her army to the last Imperial-controlled city on the continent. Mappo and the unconscious Icarium lay still on the outskirts of the city. They encounter a cart dragging bodies, manned by Malazan soldiers. The trio can be recognized as Stormy, Gessler, and Truth. They are out looking for Diker amongst the crucified, but haven't found him. Mappa rejects an offer to go into the city of Erin, but does offer healing elixirs to revive the two dogs, Bent and Roach. Ascarl Pust returns to the Tessum Temple and meets a Divers woman of spiders named Megora. Two Bokaral are sent by the High Alchemist Baruch and find the lifeless body marked with a smoky glass bottle. And the two familiars take Diker's corpse. Finally, Icarium wakes. He remembers chasing a demon in the morning. Mappo tells him just a day has passed. The trail watches his companion sharpen his sword, and then they travel westward. In the epilogue, on the Wiccan plains, crows call, and a barren womb stirs. So, India, we see Felison speak with her new adopted daughter, and then she speaks with the kind of leaders of her army, and then she's like, "Nah, we're going back to Raraku. We're not gonna fight Tavor on this turf." You know, Felison's trying to fight on when she wants to. You know,
It's on her time.
That's exactly right. So this is our last time seeing Felison in the book, and she's come a long way since the prologue. So what did you think of seeing her kind of formally leading, so to speak?
It's funny because in the beginning, she's like an impulsive child. And for her now to not like, and even like when she had just, I guess, or whenever she became Shaikh, whatever, when she had, I don't know, it was like the end of a chapter and she was like, "I'm going to come for you," essentially about her sister. And now being so close to her sister, and she's like, "You know what? Let's wait. Let's wait on this. This is not going to be just some quick how she wants it now. I'm not doing this now." It shows like a level of maturity I think that she has now to like be more patient and wait for the perfect time and plan more and not just be so hot-headed running into things. So I think that her journey throughout this book has been so freaking crazy. She's the hero that I wanted. Granted, didn't realize that Corbolodon was working for her. Was that known? Did you all know this?
Yeah, he's an army.
So she's a horrible human being too then.
Okay.
Well, okay. To clarify, so Corbelow Dom is working for the Whirlwind, the Rebellion in general, right? Which is spearheaded, it seems like, by Shaik, right, Peter? And so Shaik
So
has
he
not
just did it all in her name.
So yes, like no orders were given. It was just like, we're killing these the Malazans, and Corbelow Dom was like, I know what to do. I really thought she was gonna just fucking murder him, like right out the gate.
You'd think.
I wanted it.
But she just like took it all in and was like, all right, we're not doing this.
I wanted him dead, but maybe
Same.
one day.
We see Corbelow Dom kind of like trash talking Tavor Perrin, and like this adjunct Tavor's got nothing.
Yeah.
This is he doesn't think much of the new commander. What do you think of this? Do you think he's underestimating, or do you think he's nailing it on the head?
Well, I don't know, because so do we know how? So okay, so let me get some time right. Okay, so this book happens almost immediately after the previous book.
Yeah, about
maybe a couple months or so. Gano S. Perron, in the prologue of the book, beginning of the book, sees his sister, Tavor. What is the time difference between Gano-S becoming assistant to the previous adjunct Lorne and Tavor becoming the adjunct herself? Like, what's that time difference?
Oh, I think there's a fair amount of time, because
it can't be more than like 4 or 5 years, though, right?
No, I mean, I'm uncertain, but I mean, Tavor follows Lorne in the position, so
right.
Obviously, it's after Lorne dies, but
I don't know. I guess I'm getting at is like I feel like Tavor may have the training, like she probably doesn't have time for that. I'm curious if she has the experience of like on the ground leading men. Like I'm also curious how like brutal she's gonna be, because like she sent her sister into slavery, granted protected by a Talon, but we saw how that worked. So
no, I think it's an interesting parallel that we see in Gardens of the Moon. Gano-S enter kind of have his first real world experience in a way, and and Tavor's kind of coming to Seven Cities, like she too is traveling away to a faraway continent. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Haboric's around. I gotta just shout him out. I love Haboric. Dude's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. In Aaron, we see Ballistic welcome Tavor, and we see her army show up, and they're kind of bolstering down on Aaron. Yeah.
That wasn't very eventful.
No,
I think we're kind of closing scenes as we're kind of leaving Seven Cities, knowing that we will return to it. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, and I do wonder does she have any idea of like what went down? Right?
Do you think she knows what happened to her sister?
Like,
there's
Tavor,
no way, 'cause
just
no one
about the
knows.
7th.
Yeah, like I don't think so. I don't.
So she's like coming out of this not knowing that like almost everyone is dead.
Oh, about like the fate of Coltane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone else.
I would assume she's landing as without the knowledge of the end of Chain of Dogs. Yeah.
And is she in the next book? Damn it. You wouldn't know. You didn't read the books, right?
Out front of the city gates, we see Mappo and Akarium, and the Mappo's coming too. And I didn't bring it up because I guess I was waiting for this time, but we see him use the last 2 healing potions on the 2 dogs who are friends. I haven't brought him up the rest of the time. You guys said that the one dog killed the other dog. You were wrong. They're BFFs, Bent and Roach, alive again. Only 2 livers.
That has been a very
remainers.
fun side thing throughout, is the 2 of them. It's been a very fun like little side plot. I liked it. Really sad to hear him describe them like completely broken and barely alive, but my boy Mappo coming in.
Yeah. I like that Matt was just like, oh yeah, let's heal the dogs,
He's a good dude.
They deserve it. That was so sad. That was the saddest thing ever. Those freaking dogs. Yeah. The one dog had every leg purposely broken. Literally.
That was rough.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
Andy, I got great news. Only 8 more.
Chugging along.
We also see out front of Aaron, we see 2 Bokeral, who were sent by the High Alchemist Baruch, find the lifeless body of Diker, which was...
So so we haven't talked about it in a bit, but this is that necklace that the guy in the carriage brought and gave to Coltane, and Coltane gives to Duiker because he's like, this is your story. Like, wild.
Yeah, exactly. It was delivered for Coltane to wear. Coltane didn't wear it, and now Diker was marked by the glass bottle.
So that means, our boy Duiker's going to come back to life on Getabacchus. I have to assume.
India, what did you think?
Well, I think
A lot of pause.
I don't know. Maybe repeat the question.
Well, we see Diker's corpse get pulled off here. Do you think what do you think that means?
I didn't see that. Where did that happen?
We just talked about it. What do you mean?
In the book, though, I didn't see that happen. Was that a quick page?
It's very obliquely mentioned.
Well, I didn't see that, and I don't know.
It's a very short thing, and I don't think they say Diker's name in the passage.
They don't. They never say his name.
Yeah.
All right.
But
moving on.
Also, yeah, we should shout out Stormy, Gessler, and Truth since they're here now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so random how they all just like pop in and out all the time. It's like a real, like, I don't know, like, it's weird that his characters like live on and then they're somewhere else just randomly. It's so weird.
What do you mean
things
by that?
happen in the backgrounds and you just don't know that they're happening. I don't know. It's fun. Weird.
I agree. I think it's fun. That's what I kind of like about when you see Kenneb again in the city. You're like, oh, it's like these people are living whole lives outside of our main 7 characters or whoever.
Like he healed. He's back. He's working.
Yeah.
It's weird.
He's got an apartment now.
Yeah. Him and his wife, his 2 kids. They're in school.
Scarl Pust meets a divers of spiders, and
What was that about?
Who even knows?
And then he's like, I knew it. And it's like, when? When did you know it?
He's out there flirting, And since the book, chapter 1 begins with Akarium and Mappo, chapter 24 ends with Akarium and Mappo, as Akarium wakes up, forgets almost the entire events of the book, Mappo watches him polish his sword, and then they travel westward.
Yeah.
That is the saddest.
It's a real bummer. It's a real fucking bummer.
Can you imagine how annoying it is to live months, years,
centuries,
and then just be
centuries?
It's all, and then I don't remember what happened for the last. His life must be horrible, Mappo. I mean,
yeah,
I would have left his ass in the Azath house.
It's very interesting that. I don't know. It's very sad. Yeah.
It's so sad. And he's like, hey, how about we walk here today? And he's like...
And Mappo's like, sure, buddy. Let's go.
Let's just keep fucking walking for all... He's like, we're really close this time. Dude, bummer.
Bummer and a half. Finally, in the epilogue, we see on the Wiccan's plains, crow's caw and a barren womb stirs.
Powerful.
Barren womb stirs.
And that wraps up the book, Man. Whew. What a big breath, there you go. Deadhouse Gates.
We did it.
Yeah. I guess we'll talk more about it in the mailbag episode. Mm-hmm. But
should we do you want to read this thingy?
I will, but I don't know. How'd you guys feel about how the book wrapped up? I'd love to just know.
I liked it a lot better than Gardens of the Moon, personally. If it was a much more like cohesive read for me. Like
the book in total or the ending specifically?
The book in total.
Yeah. Inge, how'd you feel about how the book wrapped up?
I thought it was fine.
The ending?
At the end of the day, in my opinion, it's just like it wraps up to questions. To like, what now? There's still a war. Nothing really was. It's just so. Like, what do we really know? I guess now it's like, okay, well, there's this whole grander plan now, and I don't know.
I mean, I do know what you mean that, like, we did set up more dominoes on a new continent, But
and that's, like, how the first one ends, too. It's just set up for, like, so, this is it, though. This is how it is.
But
this is how you make 10 books.
That is true. I do think a lot. I don't know. I think the ending of Deadhouse Gates is really strong. And for me, in addition to loving, I mean, the Chain of Dogs is heartbreaking, right? But I think for me, the Tremolor stuff really stood out to me at the ending this time too, and really some of the Kalam stuff made a lot more sense to me this time. But anyway, so that's going to wrap up our read through of Deadhouse Gates. But we're not quite done with the book yet. we're going to do a mailbag show like last season. So please tweet at us or send us an email with your thoughts about Deadhouse Gates. Comparing it to Guardians of the Moon, your experiences reading it, what you loved or didn't love. We really want to hear it all, and we love getting mail. And we'll read it and talk about it on next week's show. There's a link in the description too if you want to try and leave a voicemail with your thoughts. And we're 10 Very Big Books on Twitter and Gmail, and we hope to hear from you, and we'll talk soon. Yeah, see you.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Producer AJ here on a different microphone. Thank you so much for listening, and special thank you for being so patient with us after India got pneumonia. We got a lot of great supportive messages on Twitter, and it really made us feel wonderful. Thank you for being such an incredible community. If you want to help this community get bigger, you can help spread the word by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, or you can tell a friend about us. Like Peter just said, the next show will be a mailbag show, so if you have anything you want the trio to talk about, you can email us at 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at 10verybigbooks. You can also send us a voice message that we can play on the show. You can find a link to do that in the episode description. And as always, thank you very, very much to Dan Gesrick for making our spectacular logo. You can find him on Twitter at Dan Gesrick for the hottest Jared Leto v. Joaquin Phoenix Joker takes. And of course, the Jellicle music in today's episode is by the one and only Amaranthin from their album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with their other music on bandcamp.com. Seriously, go give them some love. They're both supremely talented and deserve your attention just as much as Pete, India, and Josh. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back on January 24th with their mailbag episode. Don't forget to send us your questions and comments, and thank you so, so much for listening.
Recording this right before I go to work. And I'm eating yogurt. So I'm gonna do just a little at the beginning. Chapter 19. Coltane and the train of dogs recovers from the Battle of Athar. However, they're still being persuaded by Corvo Dom. Alright, enough of this bit.